Hey there, everybody. I hope you are having a great Friday. Friends, I have been asked about how I created my little Halloween ATC, so I wanted to give you a little tutorial today. I created some paper that I shared with my Patreon group, so if you are interested in seeing that tutorial, my tiers start at $2, and that gives you access to all of my digital content. So check out my Patreon site to see the way that I created this paper. The paper that I'm using right now, this is like a one layer. The paper that I share the technique on how to do over at Patreon is multi-layer technique, so please do check that out. But we're going to work with a piece of paper. This was kind of an experimental paper that I was building on a paper bag. I love a paper bag. That's craft paper and it's free. Yay, yay. So I wanted to show you kind of how I did these little things. I started with paper like this. I added just a few layers. I added some layers of, you can see the backs of envelopes down here. I added some chalk paint, some white paint. I also sprayed it and let it dry. I did not move this spray around the way I do in the Patreon video. I just let it sit overnight. So I got a really good blood spatter on it. But I thought that I would show you guys how I finished off my art trading coins. So I've punched a few circles. These are 2.5-inch circles. I was using my Recollections punch. A lot of you had kind of warned me about those punches, and yeah, they have a super short life. For as expensive as they are, you would think that they would last a long time, but they don't. The first thing that I did, you guys, was I did some stamping, and I used this little stamp set that I have had, oh my goodness, 5 years. I've had this stamp set such a long time. I kind of experimented and realized that the best way to approach stamping on this kind of paper was to utilize stamps that had a lot of white space. So let's start with something that we know has a lot of white space, and that is a skeleton. And all I did was put Mr. Skeleton on a super tattered piece of stamping plexiglass here. Poor plexiglass. It's been around a long time too. And I only have this tiny one, which is probably why I prefer to use stamps like this instead of, just the rubber stamps. The ink pad that I'm using is an acid-free Memories dye ink pad in a midnight blue. And that seemed to work really well. So we're going to stamp. And I know people who really know how to stamp are going, she's doing that all wrong. What is wrong with her? But oh well. I don't do things the right way. That's okay. So we've got a couple of our little skeletons done. I love this stamp. I do not know who made, well, hang on, here we go. This is a limited edition, made in the U.S., limited edition ms.com. I can't really tell what it says. I like using partial images of things, so I'm just going to use this part of the eyeball. For me, that it's super interesting. It adds a lot of interest if you're just using a partial image. So we're going to stamp the eyeball on there. And you can see that we did not get a clear image, but that's okay because we're going to enhance that image. Let's go ahead and do another one of these. I think I might need to also clean the stamp. There we go, that's a little bit better. Because I put homemade Mod Podge on this paper, I'm getting a kind of resist when I do the stamping. So I'm letting these things dry. They need to dry before I try and do anything with them. So we did the skeletons first. We did the eyeball next. Next thing we are going to do is a star. So there we go. And one more star. The fun trick to doing these is going back with a brush marker and enhancing what you've done. And then we're going to edge them as well. So let's start with the skeleton. I did not stand up to make sure. Hang on, I'm going to take you in a little closer while we're doing this. I have a praying yellow brush pen. I think any kind of brush pen will work. And all I do is just kind of brush around the image. Nothing earth-shaking, nothing new or different. Just having fun. And I really do like that I let this dry overnight, because the brush pen is not picking up any of the super cool blood splatters that we have going on here. I like the way he looks. I'm going to set him to the side. Do this guy. I do love a good skeleton. My dad and my brother and my uncle always ran a haunted house during the holidays, during Halloween. I know, you know, it was way before people were actually doing things like that. So it was quite the thing. And my uncle, being a very graphic kind of artist, he could really create like vignettes and scenarios and masks and all kinds of things. All right, the next thing we did was our eye. So I'm going to show you kind of how I did this one over here. The first thing I did was I took a Sharpie, and this is just a little fine point Sharpie that really does not have a fine point on it anymore, and went over my eyeball like that. This, and I kind of edged it out down here. To give her a little extra eyebrow action. Now that will dry. I like the way that the brush pens, these praying brush pens, interact with the ink pad. It kind of pulls the color in and makes things look really super cool. So when your ink pad is not exactly dry all the way, just work with it, because you'll get some cool effects. And draw her eyeball in right here. I think that looks super neat. That looks very mysterious. But you can tell, I mean, there's a very different sort of look between this paper and this paper, right? Okay, let's see if we can fix this eyeball here, because she kind of got really wacky. I think there's maybe a bump in this paper. Let's give her an eyeball. there. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay, let's, yeah, I kind of do want to just keep going with the green. I kind of like the way the green looks. And we need to, I forgot to finish her eyebrow up here. So we'll do that. There we go. Give her a nice little iris here. So we fixed this one. Doesn't look quite as mysterious as that one, but still looks pretty good. I'm not going to do any kind of outlining for the skeletons. I like the way the skeletons look. Now we need to go back up with the stars. We can do a couple of different colors with the stars. Let's do some red, and kind of like using the green for the stars as well, but I thought that the red would kind of enhance the blood splatters that we have going on here. I know some of you don't like red. Look away, look away. Again, you know, the stamp, the dark parts on the stamp look really cool when you color over them. There we go. There's one. We'll do this one with the yellow. So we're really going to pick up the ink pad here. You know, if you're fussy about your brush pens, brush markers, just get a cheapy, you know, brush marker. You can get them anywhere. I like these praying, and I have had them forever and ever and ever. You can see that the dark part of the stamp really does create a lot of dimension when you use the brush marker with it. Let's go ahead and outline these. When I do outlining, a lot of times I don't like to outline the whole thing. You know, I'll leave little skips and spaces. That creates interest too. Just one. And there we go. We're all done. The last little thing we're going to add is I am outlining these with fired brick, Tim Holtz Distress Ink by Ranger. And I am not just hitting the edge. I'm kind of taking this in a little bit to enhance the blood spatters that we have going on here. I remember one time my dad dressed up like Frankenstein at Halloween, came down to my aunt's house and nearly terrified all of us to death. I will never forget that. That was so scary. My dad always loved to dress up. He's Santa. My dad was raised during the Depression, and my grandpa left a family of 5 children, and he was the oldest. So he kind of lost his childhood. So he, you know, he loved to dress up. Loves to dress up. Still dresses up, like I said, for Santa. He also has quite a collection of toys now. He's a very busy man. He maintains the yards where my mom and dad live for all the neighbors, cuts their grass, does their weed eating, even though he cannot see very well. The dear Lord allows him to see well enough to do that, and that's a blessing. All right, guys, we are all done with our Halloween art trading coins. They do need to kind of dry a little bit, and when they dry, they kind of really start to pop out from their paper backing, so they look really super cool. I hope that you guys enjoy this and that you will give this a go yourself. Thanks for watching, y'all. Talk to you soon. Bye.